Bryce Miller's scoreless streak has continued as the Mariners win 5-0 down in Detroit. Got a quick little post-game reaction coming up for you here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Future Tie, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors, and thank you for tuning in to what is probably going to be a pretty quick episode of the Locked On Mariners postgame show. My name is Trident Gonzalez. I am your host as always. It is Saturday, May 13th, 2023, and your Seattle Mariners folks have defeated the Detroit Tigers 5-0 this afternoon at Comerica Park, taking the series, and they'll go for the sweep tomorrow afternoon, or well, morning for most of you. And as I said, this episode is going to be pretty quick relative to how long our episodes usually take. There's a roughly 30 to 40 minutes in length. This is going to be hopefully around 10 to 15-ish minutes. But as you all know, brevity is not necessarily my strong suit, nor is it Colby's for that matter. So with that in mind, we'll see where we end up at the end of this. And yes, speaking of Colby, he's not here. I'm sorry to say, for all of you in the comments who are sad your favorite son is not on screen with me today. I did offer him the opportunity to join us today, but he said he has other things to do. So I'm going to be doing my solo thing. And I wasn't really planning on doing a show in general today, but Bryce Miller ended up doing what he did. So I want to talk about that, obviously. Duh. And I also want to talk about this offense a little bit. Jared, Teo, even Julio, even though that he had a disappointing follow-up to his big night last night, but still a couple things to note on that front. But before we get into everything, a reminder, this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by Game Time. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. And with killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. So forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And if you're out and about tomorrow afternoon, but still want to listen to the game, you can do so on the Mariners' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. Again, early start for the Mariners tomorrow morning. Bryce Miller this afternoon became the second pitcher in Mariners history, joining Félix Hernández, to post a sub-1 ERA through the first three starts of his major league career. Big day for Miller on the bump against this Tigers lineup, which is not particularly good. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits allowed, just 3 strikeouts. Not a big swing and miss day for Miller, but 0 walks, and most importantly, 0 earned runs. Just 6 hard hit balls in total against Miller for this Tigers lineup. And yeah, it's been a pretty soft landing for Miller through the first 3 starts of his career. He got the A's, got the Tigers today, and even the Astros, who he pitched against his last time out, while talented, while still very, very, very talented with Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker, etc., certainly not at 100% when Miller faced them. Far from it. That said, though, that shouldn't diminish at all what we're seeing out of Miller right now, because it is pretty spectacular. Today, we saw a little bit of a different Bryce Miller. Still fastball heavy, to be sure. 40 of his 82 pitches were fastballs. But in his first 2 starts combined, we saw 49 non-fastballs from him. Today, in this start alone, he threw 43. 19 sliders, 15 curveballs, 8 changeups, which is really interesting because I'm pretty sure we only saw 1 in each of his first 2 starts. He threw 8 today. But what I really want to zero in on here is the curveball. 15 curveballs, as I mentioned. 7 of those resulted in swings. 4 of those swings resulted in swings and misses. Overall, 9 called strikes plus whiffs on the curveball. That's a 60% called strike plus whiff rate. Pretty good stuff. Slider didn't have as much success, despite him using it 4 times more than the curveball. Just 3 called strikes plus whiffs. 4 of those balls were put in play. 5 were fouled off. Nevertheless, though, we saw quality out of his secondaries. Make no mistake of that. And this is great because he's going up against the best fastball hitting team in the league his next time out against the Atlanta Braves. And I felt like, I mentioned this last night, felt like this was a good opportunity playing against the Tigers to experiment a little bit, see what's working for him at this level, and see if he can build some confidence in his secondaries before going into that start. And I think he did just that. I think he was pretty successful in doing that. So that's huge stuff. Miller, once again, just flat out dominating. Awesome to see. He's off to an incredible start in his major league career. And we'll see how things go in what is going to be inarguably his toughest start to date against Atlanta. It might be his toughest start of the entire year when we look back on things, because of just how stacked that Braves lineup is and just how well it matches up with what Miller has to offer. But nevertheless, great start for Bryce Miller today. Looking forward to seeing what he does against Atlanta. Now, I want to talk about this Mariners offense. Jarred Kelenic, Teoscar Hernández led the charge this afternoon. I want to get into their days in just a moment, but real quick, a reminder, this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by So Rare. Our new sponsor, So Rare, is a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 MLB teams. And unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, So Rare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards, and there's no cost to play. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance, collecting increasingly powerful cards and accessing next-level competitions and rewards. So Rare MLB game weeks happen twice weekly and span a 3 to 4 day cycle. And at the end of game week, So Rare MLB managers who rank at or near the top of their leaderboards win a variety of rewards, which can include So Rare scarcity cards, game tickets, merchandise, signed jerseys, and VIP experiences like meeting MLB stars. Prizes may vary depending on the competition. Head to SoRare.com/lockedon. That's spelled SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's SoRare.com/lockedon to start playing today. So hitting with 2 strikes. The Mariners were pretty good at doing that this afternoon. Jarred Kelenic found himself in an 0-2 hole to start his second at bat of the game in the top of the third before depositing a 2-run home run over the right field wall to break the ice and make things 2-0 Mariners. And he desperately needed that because his last home run came, listen to this, came all the way back on April 25th. That was the Philly series. That feels like forever ago. So Kelenic really needed that. That was nice to see. What isn't nice to see is that he struck out all 3 times in his other 3 at-bats. But I'm choosing to ignore that. And I suggest you do the same because it's always a good day when JK goes yard. Teoscar Hernández also homered today. He also found himself in an 0-2 count, but didn't need to work himself back into the count to launch a rocket over the left field wall. 0-2 swing makes it 3-0 Mariners in the top of the 4th. He was arguably the Mariners' best hitter this afternoon. He finished the day 3 for 4 with a couple of ribs, the second of which came in the top of the 9th on an RBI single when the Mariners were playing a little bit of add-on. I believe he was 1 for 4 last night with a couple of hard hit balls. So really good start to this series and this road trip for Teo. And we're going to continue saying this. The Mariners are only going to go as far as Teo and Julio take them. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction for Teo, who has not been hitting like the back of his baseball card says to start his 2023 campaign so far. So again, hopefully a step in the right direction there for Teo, who is really good heading out of the DH spot this afternoon. Julio, however, was not as good this afternoon, to put it lightly. We asked the question last night after his big 3 for 5 night with a home run last night in Detroit if he's back. And if today's game is any indication, the answer is no. But we are not going to make any assumptions based off of one game. We're not doing it. He struck out today. He also walked in the top of the 9th, which set up that those insurance runs that the Mariners got. But he was caught in between first and second by the Tigers. But as we've learned, the Tigers are, well, they're not very good at baseball. So he was able to slide back into first safely as they completely botched that pickle. And he proceeded to steal second base about a pitch or two later. what's notable about the steal, which I believe was his first stolen base attempt since returning from the back issue, correct me if I'm wrong, is that he slid into second feet first, which we don't really ever see Julio do, if ever. And why that's notable is because he's been hurt twice now on stolen base attempts at second base while sliding in head first. Apparently the back issue from a couple of weeks ago or a week and a half ago cropped up on an attempt like that. And the wrist injury that he had right before the All-Star game in Texas was on a play like that. So is this a change we're seeing out of Julio? It was a little bit of an awkward slide, if I'm going to be honest about it, but maybe that's something that he's actually consciously doing now. We'll see. Again, it's only one stolen base attempt in which he's done it, but that's still pretty interesting. Something to keep an eye on for sure. All right, so I think that's going to do it for me. I don't know how well I stuck to my my time limit here, but I hope you enjoyed this, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your Saturday to come here and listen to me ramble on about the Mariners for a few minutes. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Hope you have a beautiful baseball day. Peace.